Well, hello, how is everyone? My name is SHANKX, and we are live. It is Monday, March 14th, 1 p.m. And we are going to talk about how you can find your perfect patients. Yes, you physicians, that is for you. Now, I will say that what we will go over today is also applicable to other professionals, other healthcare professionals, but I have custom tailored today's content to physicians. I am very grateful that you take some time out of your busy day to spend with me here on my live. I am in a software right now that lets me stream to multiple locations. So I do want to get back to you. If I miss you, please type into the comments live or ready so that I can go back later and see who was with me. I really appreciate you, and if you do nothing else but remember one thing, then that is go to shankxacademy.com, because on April 9 we will have a masterclass about 3 ways how you can easily market yourself as a doctor. More about that masterclass now in a few seconds. I just gotta see if my live feed here works on LinkedIn, and I do appear to be live. We're talking about how you can find your perfect patient, and that is really something that has its basis is in crafting a niche for yourself. Niche or niche, I think some people pronounce it niche. I want to tell you what happened to my business when I finally discovered my niche. You know, I was a young web developer, fresh out of college, worked for a year, and then decided I would start freelancing. And wherever I went, I told people, hello, my name is Shankar. I happen to be a web developer, and I can do anything you want for anyone who wants it. Anyone who was willing to give me money, I was going to create a website for them or create a marketing campaign for them, set up their Facebook, you name it. However, that is not really the best approach, because when you go into networking events or when you talk with people online and you just say, make this general statement, then they see you as a jack of all trades, and you are really just one of many people who have something to offer. If, however, you specialize on a certain niche and you learn the specificities of that niche, then you can have a much more powerful conversation, because you can say, hello, my name is Shankar, and I specialize on healthcare marketing. And most specifically, I really am very passionate about direct care and about setting physicians up to have websites that explain in layman's terms to their target audience what it is that they do. Now, all of a sudden, there's a lot more willingness and eagerness to listen to you. More about that, of course, in my upcoming masterclass on April 9th. You can sign up here using shankxacademy.com. But I remember the day when I realized what my niche was. I was working on site for a rehab facility here in the greater San Antonio area. and I was working on a website, and it just so happened that the CEO of that facility needed a video. The video was supposed to be a testimonial of one of their employees that in the past had been a person, an addict, but now was in recovery. And it was just very powerful to show that this person had gotten their life back and that now she was a productive staff member. So what you don't know about me is that I used to, before coming to the United States, I used to work in law enforcement. And I actually, for quite some time, was very active working in a red light district, and I was exposed to a lot of prostitutes and to a lot of drug addicts. And what happened during that time is that I really got a good understanding of what these people have to go through in their lives to survive. And opposed to what many people may think, there was not a feeling of being against each other, but really there was, between the officers and the people living in the streets, there was this feeling of, hey, we need to work together to overcome whatever crime and whatever hardship is in these streets, right? And that just gave me this ability to truly communicate on a level with these addicts that your typical civilian, quote unquote, wouldn't have, right? So going back to the rehab facility where I conducted that interview, it was a very, very strong interview on video, and it truly captured the essence of what this person had to go through, what she had to overcome, and how happy she now was to be a productive member of society, to have this job. And it dawned on me at that moment that I had a special gift in working in the healthcare and wellness related field in marketing, because I understood people that were really in dire situations, that were addicts themselves, and I was able to translate that in respectful ways into a message that works online to convey and inform in a respectful way. And ever since that happened to me, ever since I had that epiphany of this is my niche, this is my perfect audience, these healthcare professionals, ever since that had happened, the quality of my conversations as a business owner with prospects and leads has increased manifold. There is no longer this feeling of having to convince someone that we should work together. No, the conversation is actually about very, very specific substantiated elements of coming up with a marketing strategy. And that is something I want for you because it is so powerful. This is a very, very deep topic, and I will go very deep into that beyond the topics that we will address today in my masterclass on April 9th. So make sure you sign up for that using the link shanksacademy.com. They say that you should pick a niche that is an inch wide and a mile deep. So what does that mean? Well, it means that it's really very specific. For example, as a physician, you might go with women who live in a certain area who are obese and who happen to be single parents. That is probably a very narrow description of a niche, but it is a mile deep because there is very likely a lot of people, a lot of women concerned that need your help as a physician. Okay, so that is the type of niche you want to identify for yourself. And I want to talk a little bit about why it makes so much sense to target a niche. Typically, at the beginning of your business, you will find that you have a limited marketing budget. Even if you get more advanced, you are now a small to medium-sized business, you still cannot afford to use a shotgun strategy that larger companies apply in their marketing tactics. Yeah, that's correct. They use the shotgun approach. They take a very generic marketing message and then throw a lot of money against it, expose the message to a lot of people, and then they hope that by having this shotgun approach, they will find some people with whom your message, the marketing message, resonates with. And that is just simply not something you can afford to do with your marketing dollars when you are a small business, a small clinic. You just simply are spreading yourselves too thin, and you will find that you don't have any return on investment. You feel like you're spending money, but there's no return on investment. Hence, the need for very clearly defining a narrow niche. And the other thing is, when you are not focused on a niche, your message isn't really relevant. What are you gonna say if you target everyone with the shotgun approach? As a physician, you can say, well, if you wanna be healthy, come and see me, And who doesn't want to be healthy in the first place, right? And that it's just not a very specific situation that would touch a pain point that anyone would be in and relate, make the kind of the connection between that marketing message and your clinic. However, if you were, for example, if you were to say, are you suffering from obesity and your knees are hurting a lot, and are you within a certain area, then we might have something that alleviates your pain within X amount of time. Okay, so that is a very different message. And if you focus all your marketing dollars on that message as an example, then your return on your investment will be much bigger. Furthermore, pricing kind of becomes irrelevant when you have set yourself up as a specialist. And just to be very clear here, you don't have to be a medical specialist in order to be specialized on a certain ailment, right? For example, you can be a general practitioner and specialize your marketing message on fighting obesity, hypertension, or diabetes, or whatever it is that it really resonates with the people in the area you practice. So the thing is, when you are perceived as a specialist, then all of a sudden your pricing, your rates are not as important anymore as if you just compete with every other run-of-the-mill urgent care facility or general health practice, right? Because you're going to be compared. So when you are a specialist and when people truly believe that with your treatment they can lose weight or they can no longer have pain in their knees, then the question about how much will my insurance reimburse is not going to be as important anymore. Okay, so when I used to just say, oh, I build websites for anyone who wants a website, the first question was, well, how much, right? Now, when I transitioned into saying, well, I build websites and marketing campaigns for healthcare professionals, the first question was not how much. The first question was, oh, that's really interesting. what type of medicine do you focus on marketing for, or what type of doctor, and what are the messages you see that resonate with people, right? And then, of course, at some point, there is a conversation about the price, but it's a very different one, because in a way, when you are a specialist, your rate has become irrelevant in a way. I mean, it still needs to be reasonable, but you can charge a prime rate for your specialty. All right, if that all made sense to you, and if you want to understand more about how important niching is, then do make sure to sign up for my masterclass on April 9th, shanksacademy.com. I often get the question, will it be recorded? No, it won't. I need your total dedication, and you can compensate me with your time. Okay, you show up and just take your notepad and be there with me and a few other physicians for 90 minutes. Let's move on to the next section of this live here today, describing your perfect patient. And I'm going to borrow a concept that was introduced by Frank Kern, who is quite a good marketer as well. And he came up with something called the PVP index. The first P stands for personal fulfillment. The second V, the letter V, stands for value to the marketplace. And the last P stands for profitability. Okay, so the first P, personal fulfillment. How much satisfaction does it give you if you help someone lose weight who is obese, versus, for example, something a little bit more shallow? How much satisfaction does it give you to help someone do a cosmetic enhancement, right? Maybe you are a cosmetic surgeon and someone's approaching you for a belly tuck, and how much satisfaction does that give you as a physician, who I know most of you, if not all of you, have chosen that profession to make our communities healthier, right? And to give joy back to people who just don't know any better and who destroy their lives with unhealthy lifestyles, right? So on a scale from 0 to 10, when you think about a certain patient, how much personal fulfillment does that give you? That would be your first part of your index. We have 3 segments, and each segment is going to be rated between 0 to 10. And then if you have a perfect score, of course, you would have 30 points, right? And let's talk a little bit about the second score here, the perfect, the value to the marketplace. Are they willing to pay you a lot for your work? Okay, so let's see. If you help people with obesity and you live in a city where there are a lot of people that belong to the lower socioeconomic income strata, then maybe they are not really able to pay you a lot of money. So in that sense, the V index, that the score would be on the lower end. However, if you live in a more affluent area, and we're going back to our cosmetic enhancement surgery, you know that people who really care about looking the ideal way that they have in their mind are going to be ready and able to pay you whatever you ask, probably, right? So the third point, the index score here, is profitability. How profitable is the work in this segment of medicine? So I would imagine that if you help a lot of people get their diabetes in control, and if you work with standard medication, and if you work with educating them about better choices when it comes to diet and maybe physical exercise, yeah, that is very fulfilling on a personal level. But is it profitable? Maybe not so much. I don't know. That's up to you to know. Going back to the cosmetic surgery, is it profitable to do a belly tuck surgery, to do a liposuction? Well, yeah, chances are it's maybe a little bit more profitable than the other one. Okay, so you want to go and calculate your PVP index for yourself, because that really gives you a complete picture of what describes a perfect patient for you. It will be the perfect balance between your personal aspirations as a physician, as a healthcare professional, and also the money side of things, because that does matter. You are most likely an independent physician, and you are therefore also a businessman or woman. And if you are a businessman or woman, you need to care about money. You need to not despise money. Money is a form of energy, and if that energy is applied in smart ways, then you can help yourself and you can help your community. Okay, so that's really a very important mindset that you need to have as a business owner. We talk more about all of that, especially mindset, in my upcoming webinar masterclass, April 9th. 3 easy ways how you can market yourself as a doctor. That's the title of the masterclass. Sign up using the link below. So now that you have understood who your perfect patient really is, we're going to create something that you have probably already heard of, which is an avatar. And an avatar is basically a concept of your perfect patient, in which you create this avatar that you really understand very well. You know, you have a bunch of questions that you have answered, and you know what that perfect patient looks like, thinks like, acts like, and all of that good stuff. And when you know all of that, you can adjust your communication to fit the pain points that the patient, your perfect patient, your avatar will have. So I'm going to go through a series of questions with you that will help you basically go through that thought process. Okay, so once you have your PVP, let's say you have 3 different potential perfect patients, and you have calculated your PVP index, and you have identified the overall winner, if you will. Now you go and create the avatar. First question I have here is the question of what keeps them awake at night, right? For example, literally, an obese person might be kept awake by aching body parts, by aching knees, by an aching back, and that is just something that doesn't let them go to sleep. And if you speak to that in your communication, then you are guaranteed to get their attention. What gender do they have? We know that in most cases, at least here in this area, that happens to be the case. The women of the household are the ones that care about health and are the ones that kind of drive their families to get seen by the doctor. And now that, of course, matters a lot. If you know that women are most of your target audience, well, then you probably want to adjust your language to one that resonates with women. What are they afraid of? Are they afraid for their lives? Are they afraid that their obesity maybe will prevent them from realizing a dream, such as maybe practicing a certain sport? Or I know some people like to get into hobbies, extreme sports, that they are only accessible to them if they have a certain, if they are under a certain weight threshold, for example. What are they angry about? So are they of the opinion that the food industry has tricked them into obesity? And if that is so, can you leverage that by crafting a narrative around taking back control over your health and your weight by embracing a healthy lifestyle and healthy diet? That is something to think about. What are current trends that affect your patient right now? Okay, of course, speaking about the pandemic, that is one thing, and everybody is affected by that right now. But we all know that there's kind of this wave of no dairy and no meat alternative foods out there. And I have also noticed that there's a huge kind of opening your mindset towards supplements, towards CBD, of course. And I don't know how you stand on that, but what I truly want to convey here is that you can leverage all of that mindset, all of that psychology of your perfect patient, and craft a narrative in your marketing that actually grabs their attention, because you don't want to be just another just another noisemaker, right? Like your typical shotgun approach type of advertisement is showing a couple that is happy. They maybe run through the woods together, and then there's like some generic slogan that says, we take care of your health, come to X clinic. Yeah, that works if you have hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend on advertising. But if you have a smaller budget, then you need to be more focused, and creating this avatar helps you with that. Let's go into another set of questions that would help you define your perfect avatar. What are the secret desires of someone who is obese? They probably want to feel attractive again. They probably want to appeal to the opposite sex again, or to the same sex maybe. They probably want to be able to go and walk into a clothing store and just take whatever the mannequin is wearing. Okay, so if you understand these secret desires, then you have a lot of power within your hands to craft a narrative around that. Are they emotional or analytical? So if they are emotional, you want to speak towards the feeling. Okay, you want to say, what would it feel like if you could practice sport with your kids again? If you no longer have to say, I'm sorry, Daddy can't do this, his knees hurt too much. That would be appealing to the emotional side of a person. If they are more analytical, you might want to go into studies that show that every year you live as an obese individual takes X amount of months away from your life expectancy. I'm just giving examples, right? But do you see how that really matters? What language do they use? Do they use a jargon, right? For example, here in San Antonio, where I'm located, a lot of people that probably would fit the target audience of people who struggle with diabetes and with obesity are Hispanic. And what does that mean, right? What magazines do they read? What websites do they visit? If you know that information, then you might be able to afford an ad in that publication that is really going to give you a high return on investment versus just doing what everyone else does. And like, for example, you take a Facebook post and promote it to the entire United States, right? Just say, if you don't feel healthy, come and talk to us. We're awesome. We'll help you. well, guess what? That doesn't give you any results, right? Whereas a targeted ad in a magazine that you know your target audience actually reads and that is local, that will probably work better for you. What does their typical day look like? That's another question that is important to address, right? If you know that they spend their mornings sitting in traffic, maybe dropping off their kids to daycare, then you can do something with that knowledge. What is the one thing they crave above everything else, right? So for someone struggling with diabetes, it might be going into a restaurant or planning their meals throughout the week without having to worry about all the ingredients or the quantity or the type of sugar, right? And this is something, again, that we can psychologically leverage to speak to these pain points so that your message really stands out and really resonate with your target audience. I know I stuck to obesity and diabetes a lot, and that's because I am not a doctor. So I use examples that kind of I can grasp, that make sense to me. But whatever specialty you have, you can apply that to your field of expertise. And again, even if you are a general physician, there are so many things that you know that a lot of people in your area struggle with, and you can choose to specialize your marketing on that. That doesn't mean that you cannot have other patients in your clinic, not at all. It just means that that is the entry point of patients who come in through that specific marketing strategy. Okay, and again, if you want to learn more about that, make sure to sign up for shanksacademy.com for my upcoming masterclass. All right. Last but not least, I want to give you a few concrete, actionable examples because I know this is something that you might have heard over and over again from other marketing experts. And one thing that I truly always want to make sure is that I give you specific examples, something that you can do right now, apply right now without even attending my masterclass. Okay. So the first one would be for you to join just a random group that you are interested in that is very likely to have a tangent with your target audience. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. For me, for example, I like public speaking. So I joined Toastmasters International, which is an organization that organizes clubs that teach public speaking. And not only did I join Toastmasters, I actually founded a club, and then I also became president of one. So in that club, I happen to talk a lot about what I do for a living, what my business does, and then over time, guess what? I get leads off of that leisure activity. So that, of course, as a doctor, as a physician, you always have that huge plus that people admire you for your knowledge. They know how hard you have worked to get where you are. And they will eventually, if they trust you, they will want to get care from you as well. I can guarantee you that. So just join, everybody has some leisurely interests, and just embrace those and show yourself as who you are, right? The second thing you can do today is become active in an association that is maybe driving advocacy within your field, your chosen field, your target audience, right? For me, for example, as someone who likes to help healthcare professionals and who is very passionate about accessible, affordable healthcare, I co-founded I co-lead the San Antonio Free Market Medical Association chapter here, and it just exposes me to so many healthcare professionals, so many physicians, so many pharmacists, so many vendors and suppliers of that ecosystem. And I just naturally, by contributing to that industry, I also make connections. And then when the timing is right, sometimes we enter into a working relationship. So that is something you want to think about, right? What is it that you could do? I mean, it could be as simple as like maybe joining the local school board, or it could be joining if you enjoy gardening, you join a gardening club. There's so many, and that would go back to my first example of just joining random clubs that already exist. If there is none, go and create one. Take a very specific topic in your field of expertise and start providing support around that. And I know you cannot and you do not want to give medical advice outside of your clinic. That's not what I'm talking about. But you can educate and you can provide guidance around your field of expertise in a general way. One example that comes to my mind is the autoimmune and arthritis support group that Dr. Diana Gurnita has set up on Facebook. I think within a few months, that group got thousands of members, right? And what people do within that group is they simply share their pain with each other. And what Dr. Gurnita does is she posts educational material. She doesn't give medical advice. She doesn't tell people what to do and doesn't tell them what medication to take or what not. No, it is just an environment that you have created that acts as a support for your target, for your perfect patient. Okay, I went a little long, I know. I think I went 37 minutes long. I hope it was jam-packed with information that is helpful to you to really determine your perfect patient. We can go a lot deeper into this, and I want to talk about 3 easy ways you can apply to market yourself as a doctor, and that will happen on April 9th. And you can sign up for that masterclass that is not going to be recorded, but you can sign up right here and now using I really have to get this. There we go, shanksacademy.com. And also, as a reminder, don't forget to leave me a comment. Even if you watch this as a replay here after the live, type in live, or type in I'm ready, or type in thank you, whatever you want to do. And I will come back and I want to connect with you. I want to see what you do and see what information you provide that I can learn from. That's it for now. I'm signing off. You have a wonderful rest of your day, of your Monday here on March 14th. And hopefully see some of you in my masterclass. That's it for now. Goodbye.